Hey, Kentucky. So I wanted to just bring forth some information. You have a treasurer's race, a governor's race, lieutenant governor, attorney general's race, and an auditor's race. You're going to have the presidential election and the senator's election in 2020. So May 19th, I believe, May 19th, 2020, you're going to vote for, Bernie Sanders or whoever, Elizabeth Warren, or Amy McGrath versus Stephen Cox or any of the other Democratic candidates. So that's May 19th, 2020. There's actually a more important, bigger, better election in Kentucky. That's their auditor, that's their treasurer, lieutenant governor, governor's race, attorney general. So governor, that's essentially the president, right, for Kentucky. So Kentuckians don't even go out to vote because the turnout rate's going to be very low for their own, leadership. Do they really give a shit about Kentucky? So Amy McGrath, she is wrong on so many issues. She's less of center, but you can't really even call her progressive. She goes up to Massachusetts and she brags that she's the most liberal progressive in Kentucky, and yet she's wrong when it comes to the war on drugs. What kind of progressive is going to be wrong on the war on drugs? She's wrong on war and peace. She's wrong on Bernie care. She's wrong on Brett Kavanaugh. She's wrong on Palestine. And again, she's wrong on Bernie care. She's wrong on Bernie care. She's wrong on marijuana. Do you know what the number one cash crop is in Kentucky? Marijuana. Amy McGrath had $3 million more than Andy Barr. She had $9 million total. He had $6 million total. Andy Barr is a hapless, feckless, rank-and-file Republican turd, and yet Amy McGrath couldn't even beat him with a House race. So it makes her think that she can win a Senate race. She has no political experience. She ran one race and totally lost. So does losing the House race automatically qualify you to become a senator? Is that how that works? I don't know politics that much. I guess if you lose the House race, then you get to become the governor or the president, right? Or, no, the senator. Anyway, Stephen Cox. Stephen Cox is just a million times better than Amy McGrath. And so when I was researching Amy, I came across Stephen Cox, and it was just easy to find. He's got his own website. He's answered all these, questionnaires. So I know a lot about this Stephen Cox, and apparently he's lived in Kentucky his entire life. I never crossed paths with Stephen Cox, but he seems like a fun, jovial guy, but he also understands the struggle. He points out when it comes to Matt Jones, he's privileged, He says Amy McGrath and Matt Jones has lived a life of privilege. What the hell do they know about the struggle? So Stephen Cox, he's a family man, a father, a working-class radical. He got a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice with a specialization in Homeland Security and Emergency Management. And pharmacy technician. He's got a license to be a pharmacy technician. He's in retail pharmacy. He's some kind of healthcare professional. Okay, so he's college educated. He's got a good paying job. He's got, a bunch of kids, working class radical. When it comes to elections, policy is the only thing that matters. So they're running for the U.S. Senate seat. They're going to get up there and they're going to write a bunch of laws. They're going to encourage other people to write the laws that they like. And so Mitch McConnell, love him or hate him, he's a piece of crap, but he has a ton of power. And so if you're a conservative, you might say, well, hell, we need to hold on to that. And so we do need someone that's very qualified, very progressive, very dynamic, very energetic. We need somebody who's got a progressive platform, who's reaching out not just to Democrats and Republicans, but independents and brand new voters. So Stephen Cox, he's college educated, he's a healthcare professional, a family man. Stephen Cox was the first major candidate in the Democratic primary. So Amy McGrath jumps in. Everybody acts like she's the only person that's in the race. No, Stephen Cox was already in the race, and the media completely silent. So I don't know why Samantha Bee didn't invite Stephen Cox onto her show. I wonder why. So Stephen Cox has lived in Mitch's, Kentucky his entire life. So not in the upper echelons, not in privilege like McGrath or Matt Jones. He was born in Greenville. Stephen Cox was born on January 24th, 1986. So he's 4 years younger than me. Stephen Cox is the youngest of 4 children. He was a brother to 3 older sisters. So he was the baby brother, and he had to grow up with 3 older sisters. And it says on his webpage that he grew up in the hollows of Bremen, Kentucky. I think he meant hollers. He misspelled, bro, hey, Stephen Cox, you misspelled hollers. So he grew up in the hollers in Bremen, Kentucky. He was in Muhlenberg County. So he's in western Kentucky. So there's some mountains in western Kentucky, mostly in the east, but he was in, I think, right, western Kentucky. So he admits that climate change exists. He says it's an apocalypse. So his rhetoric is better than Amy McGrath. They both agree that climate change exists. So they're both better than, the president. He loves Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt, which could mean a number of things. Teddy Roosevelt was a trust buster. He also threatened to send in the military because of the, take over the coal mines for the labor strikers. So trust busters. He's the one that floated the idea of universal health care. He saw that they had a health care program in Germany and the UK, so the United Kingdom. So he admits climate change exists. He loves Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt. He also loves Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Who would ever think that somebody in Kentucky actually loves Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? He says that her spirit is, her spirit for justice. That's what he really likes about her. So those are his heroes. And that's, AOC is My Lady Liberty, so you had the French Revolution, and they had their symbol. So that's who AOC is to me, and I think to America, a lot of Americans too. So he wants to end the national right-to-work laws. Amy McGrath hasn't said shit about this, so that's good for unions. Get rid of those so-called right-to-work bullshit, which is what, that would undo the damage that Matt Bevin has done to Kentucky. Now, Stephen Cox is going to call him socially progressive. He's going to call himself socially progressive, fiscally conservative. So that's very clear-cut. He's a penny pincher when it comes to money. He believes in a slim and lean and efficient government, but he's also in favor of gay rights. So, socially progressive. He believes in sustainable growth. He wants to reduce the military spending. He wants to protect Social Security and Medicare. In this world, the United States ranks 17th in the quality of life and 43rd in life expectancy. So we're not number one when it comes to our, quality of life and our life expectancies. He's in favor of Bernie Care. This is big when it comes to Amy McGrath. Amy McGrath is 100% opposed to Bernie Care. She wants to protect the private insurance groups. So when it comes to Stephen Cox, he says, fuck them private insurance groups. They've been fucking everybody over. So let's get ourselves a single-payer government health care program. So he's for a single-payer Medicare for all system. He has had lots of experiences. He's seen where Medicare says that dentures aren't necessary. So even though people have to eat, and then they're just on life support, or just a liquid diet because they need dentures. That's a necessity, but Medicare said it wasn't. So he's for single-payer, single-payer. EpiPen now costs $200. He had to turn away customers. Without an EpiPen, $200 EpiPen, some of these people, what would happen if they had, allergic reaction? So he's not just for a public option. Amy McGrath is for Obamacare, a public option, Medicare buy-in, but she's not for a single-payer Medicare for all system. Full-blown, true blue, actual Bernie Care. So he's for Bernie Care. She's only for Obamacare with a public option. He's for repealing and replacing Obamacare with Bernie Care. He's not accepting corporate PAC money. He's uncorruptible. He'll institute progressive measures with an iron will made of fire and brimstone and mortar. He's fun, energetic, and if he takes this serious, I think he can win the thing, but I think also he could have a strong impact on the policy narratives for Kentucky Senate. He could get into, the brain of Amy McGrath. Amy McGrath needs to speak better, be more fun, be more energetic, and she needs to be more progressive. So Kentucky only needs to be focused on the governor's race and the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor right now. But if you do, check into some of these Democratic candidates, I think it's good to actually take a look at them now so that way you'll be ready come May. But that's, 9 months away. So you're not going to vote for Amy McGrath until 9 months from now if you voted, if you want to vote for her. But that means you have 9 months to learn who Stephen Cox is and his other 3 competitors. So there's just a bunch of things. He's pro-choice. He wants to ban robocalls. He's for sentient rights. He wants free public college, immigrant rights, net neutrality, pro-Green New Deal, protect tenant and workers' rights, cut out pork barrel spending, and end Citizens United. So this is just an amazing, super-duper progressive. So Amy McGrath says she's the most liberal, progressive, person in Kentucky. No, she's not. For a for-all statement, all I have to do is find one counterexample. Well, Stephen Cox is way more progressive, way more liberal than Amy McGrath could ever hope to be in her pinky finger. So, or in his pinky, or her, whatever. So he's just way more progressive than, way more progressive than she is. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention is Matt Jones. I don't want to have to defend Matt Jones. He's loud-mouthed, arrogant fucking punk. He raised, Amy McGrath has raised like $5 million, $7 million in 2 days. So she looks like the presumptive nominee. Matt Jones is like the Democratic establishment is already on board with Amy McGrath. They've already, lined right, up her ass, and she's, they're going to follow her all the way to the end, just like Jack Conway. Remember how they picked Jack Conway like 5 years out? And so by rushing to Amy McGrath, she's got a $7 million war chest. So she's, she's serious. And she's got some name recognition from that previous campaign, and she doesn't have the total stench of loser, not yet, right? It's just 2 times. $7 million in her war chest. She's already won, right? That's all you need is a bunch of money. Well, it didn't help her with any bar. But in typical wisdom, you got $7 million in your war chest. You got more money than everybody else. Then you're the main candidate to beat. Amy McGrath's campaign manager, Mark Nicholas, actually got Matt Jones fired from his job at Hay, Kentucky, WLEX. So that's in Lexington. It's an NBC affiliate in Lexington, Kentucky. So he had a job, 4-year show, and then he got axed just now because he had floated the idea that he knows, who knows what the hell she's talking about. So he said some tiny little criticism on Amy McGrath, and since he had floated the idea that he might run for office, they're saying that that's like an exploratory community or a committee. Therefore, he has to get off of public airs because it's, he might, until he says for sure, I am not going to run for office, until he says that, then he doesn't get a show back. So he got suspended, and now it's totally canceled. He lost his entire show. And the Bluegrass Report, that's Mark Nicholas. So Mark Nicholas has been writing the Bluegrass Report. That's his baby. He's been going around bragging about how he got Matt Jones fired. Now, it's Hey, Kentucky. I thought he just talked about politics on Hey, Kentucky, but he's also got a sports show. So I don't know if they canceled his sports show or they just canceled a guy who has a show and a sports show. So they canceled his TV show. He's a popular sports show anchor. He loves UK basketball. It's a religion in Kentucky. So he's, really making bank off of exploiting the love of UK basketball. McGrath, a spokesman, had denied that Mark Nicholas had anything to do with Matt Jones, but Matt Jones says Mark Nicholas is going around bragging about it. He's taking credit and bragging about it. And really, he was the only one in position to put the pressure on. And so once he, got into the ears of the corporate executives, and then that was all she wrote. So he's, 95% sure it's Mark Nicholas. He's going around bragging about it. So yes, of course. But then why would they lie? Why would the McGrath spokesman deny the claim? So anyways, what's poor, privileged lawyer Matt Jones to do? He's only got a business and, probably thousands of dollars and 17 dynasties and who knows how many, Freemason groups he's... So what's poor, privileged lawyer Matt Jones to do? He just got kicked off of his TV station, or his TV show, because he had floated the idea that he might run. Well, I don't know. People say, well, since he doesn't have a TV show, now he's got all the time in the world. Well, the TV show would have actually given him power. So he could have used his TV show to, defend himself. But now he doesn't have that major platform. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like losing the TV show would push Matt Jones into it or out of it. I don't really think it's a push or pull factor. But I don't like feeling sorry for Matt Jones, so Amy McGrath has to answer for that. She has to answer for why she fucked Matt Jones over. He's, big sportscaster, for UK basketball, and you fucked him over. So I bet you some people are probably pissed off about it. Fired because, what, he said he might have to run? That's pretty petty. That's pretty petty and pathetic, and so what the fuck? That's amazing. Mark Nicholas is the thunder behind Amy McGrath in the Bluegrass Report. So, yeah, there's some serious face. He's the Bluegrass Report, I think, if it's what I'm thinking, and it's pretty popular in Kentucky. So that means, I don't know. I hope this actually starts a beef between Matt Jones. Matt Jones, what the fuck? Amy, McGrath just fucked you over. If she could fire you, if she could get you fired, that means she's already got power right now. Now, maybe she could get some of the Mitch McConnell staffers fired next time. But right now, you know, she got Matt Jones, so she's eliminating her competition. She's not going to run a progressive platform. She's just going to, you know, say, you know, run a bunch of lawsuits against this person and that person. You didn't get enough signatures. You weren't born in the right district. You haven't been here for enough years. So Amy McGrath is going to be formidable. She's got a shit ton of fucking money. She's got a, you know, mean-ass campaign manager. And Matt Jones totally got fucked over by Amy McGrath, so I don't know if he's just going to take it lying down. So we'll have to see. What will Matt Jones do?
Renew before we close the file. So would you like to hear your options about getting back under coverage?
No. No!
Hello? Would you like to hear your options about getting back under coverage?
No!
Thank you for your time, and have a nice day.